Okay, now on to this thing that I've been hinting at, which is we don't actually have to use the the list comprehension brackets. Let me just prove that. I'll do the same thing. Let's go back to my names. If I get rid of them and I hit enter, it still works. It tells me false because not all names begin with C in people. If I just tried to copy this on its own and run it, we haven't seen this yet, but this is called a generator expression. We have a section on generators later, so I'm not going to go into detail right now. So this is like a lighter weight version of a list. So it isn't a list. We can't do things like append or something. None of those list methods exist. But if we're using this as an intermediate, like we don't actually want a list at the end of what we're doing, for example, right here with all, or if we go back to this one, I don't want a list back. I'm getting true or false. I'm never saving a list to a variable. There's no reason to generate a list. And in fact, these generator expressions are much lighter weight. So it's a lot of new concepts and weird stuff going on. You can read about it online, but it boils down to this. To save space meaning memory, and to make things less intensive, you don't have to add those list comprehension brackets unless you want a list and you need a list at the end of it. But if you're just passing it in to something like any or all or some of the other things that we'll see, you don't have to add those. There's a good Stack Overflow post on this, generator expressions versus list comprehension. I'll include it as a resource. This person was asking, why would you use this versus this? The same exact code except list brackets versus parens. And there's a lot of good answers. Some of it gets into very nitty-gritty details. Some of it even goes into like particular parts of the Python specification, things that you can read that explain exactly how it works. But I like this guy's response. Basically, use a generator expression if all you're doing is iterating once. If you want to store and use the generated results, you're probably better off with a list comprehension. Well, in our case, we're just passing it into another function. We're not storing it. We're never seeing it again. So there's no reason to add those list brackets, even if we can. It just takes up more space. Okay, last thing, I made a little demo here to illustrate and to prove that a list comprehension and a generator expression take up very different amounts of memory, of bytes in system memory. So I have the same exact expression, x times 10 for x in range 1000. So basically between 0 and 1000, we're going to multiply each number by 10 and stick it in a list in this case. And down here, I'm using a generator expression. So in this example, like we're not using either of these ever again. We're just passing them into sys.getSizeof. And this will just prove to you that using list comprehension takes up a lot more space to make that list compared to a generator expression. Remember, if you want to save it to a variable or do something with it other than just pass it along or iterate over it, then you definitely want a list comprehension. But if you're passing it to a function like all or any, or you're just iterating over it, you could use a generator expression. But honestly, at the end of the day, there's a reason very few people really talk about this. Most courses don't go into this at all. It's kind of a niche topic. So it's not a big deal because the memory difference, even though it is an order of magnitude difference in this example, it's still on any computer not going to make a difference at all as far as what we can perceive. But on with the main event here, let's take a look. So I'm using something called sys. I'm importing it, sys module. It has a getsizeof method that will just take an argument and will actually tell me the size in bytes in memory that it takes up, a number. And then I'm just printing the 2 out. So let's see what happens. Here we go, drum roll. And would you look at that? List comprehension to do the same thing, 9,024 bytes. Generator expression is only 88 bytes. Pretty incredible difference. So just kind of a fun little fact here. It's not a deal breaker. You can use list comprehension with all or any, but if you're just passing it directly into any or all, I wouldn't bother. Don't add those brackets. Just use a generator expression. And if none of that makes sense and you're totally lost, let's just ignore this video, move on to the next one, because in all likelihood, you might not need to use any or all that much.